I am Erin, intuitive medium, Akashic, and spiritual mentor. We are going to chat about the Akashic Records, about past lives. See if anybody hops on. If not, you're catching the replay, let me know. Just trying to get over here on my phone to on my phone. Make sure I see the comments. Invite people. Hey, beautiful souls. What's happening? Okay, you guys let me know if you have questions about past lives, anything you're curious about, anything you want to know. Pop out. Well, I don't want to do that. All right, it's not going to show me comments over there. Okay, so past lives, your Akashic Records. They are your soul's history book. It holds everything you've ever done, experienced, been, everything from the good to bad to the ugly. And when I started my Akashic work, I was probably, I want to say I started in like August of the year I started, so probably 2018. And when I really started on that journey, it was very easy for me to connect to past lives. And so I want you guys to tell me below if during your life, if you touch old things, if you have this recognition, if you're just like, ooh. So like when I would read history books as a kid, in school, because I wasn't a big reader outside of school. But in history, if we were reading about like the prairie time, it was like I was there. Like I knew what it felt like to lay on the hay bed. I knew what it was like to be in that time. So like Oregon Trail, this is so weird, but when I would play Oregon Trail, I could like feel really connected to that time, traveling on the wagon, the fear that you had, all of that stuff. Not wanting your wagon to tip over and whatever. So I always had this really big innate ability to connect to the past, but not just like, oh, that's really cool. Like I had been there. So that is something I've had for my whole life. So I'd love to know. I'd love you guys to comment below if you've had that as well. That connection of touching something old of your grandma's, and maybe just like feeling a connection to your lineage, feeling this connection to grandma, great grandma, whatever it is, a time. So if maybe you've traveled somewhere, maybe you see Stonehenge and you're like, holy fuck, I know I've been there, I know I've had experiences there, or you're super drawn to it at the same time. Maybe you don't know why you're really drawn to it. Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to answer these questions in just a sec. I do not know why the comments will not show up on my computer, but Facebook just wants to do what it wants to do. So, absolutely. So having this connection to past lives for something for me, I was very drawn to it. Even though I didn't technically understand much about it, I just knew that it was something that I believed in, past lives and things like that. I just knew that it was very much something that even though, so like I had been, what's the right way to say it? In church class when I was young, well, I left the Catholic Church when I was about 39, but as a child, I had to go to these classes. They were called CCD. So, if you didn't go to Catholic school, you went to this class called CCD. And I was older, so I think it was before my mom died. And so I must have been like 15, maybe 16. No, probably 15. So I remember the priest made us choose. Do you believe in evolution or God? So I sat in the middle because I very much believed that God created everything, but evolution took over. And the priest, he was almost irate with me. He's like, you can't do that, it's one or the other. I said, no, it's not. It's what I believe. I believe God created humankind, earth, everything, and then we evolved over time because God gave us life and he gave us free will. You know what I mean, he created the things. So I always had this feeling of past lives and the having lived before. That was something that I always really felt deeply in my soul. So when it came time for me to, I don't even know how it came about, but the Akashic Records, past lives, working in past lives. So I really dove in, and it was a pretty simple program. It was very easy for me to connect, very easy for me to get in and do things. And what I really learned was, well, what do I do with the information? What do I do with, how do I understand it? Is it holding me back today? Is it, what else can we do here? Is it just like you just witness yourself in a past life, which is cool, but as I was on my healing journey, healing from the trauma of my life, healing from my life, anxiety, panic, all of those things in between, things that happened in childhood, things that happened in adulthood. What I learned was I could only get so far with healing because you need to hit your past lives to continue to deepen the healing and the clearing. So I know, okay, so I'm going to go. So how do you know? So please do not hesitate to ask any questions here. If you come back onto replay, please ask those questions as well. And I will always come back and answer. So how do you know when a past life is holding you back from moving forward? So the way that I like to go about it is, what have you done about this topic in your life today? So a big one is money. So I classify a lot of things from our past lives as witch wounds, because a lot of things that we have experienced in the past as a healer, as a light worker, maybe as an actual doctor. So we had to be male back then to be a doctor. We could be some type of a nurse. So what we would equate today as Reiki, as healing, as like tinctures, herbs, more natural remedies, is a lot of things that we did back then as actual healing modalities. So I classify witch wounds as this really big category of using your gifts, using your abilities, being seen, being heard, being paid. We didn't need money back then. So what we would do a lot was we would kind of travel from place to place. Usually covertly, we would travel at night, and then we would stay with people. They would give us food, they would give us clothes, they would give us a place to stay. So we really did not need that much money. So that comes through as a witch wound because we were a healer. We didn't really go out. Generally, not very often did we go out in daylight time and do healing work. It did happen in lifetimes, but a lot of times it was, a spider literally just landed on my my computer, like out of nowhere. So he's just crawling right around. Just don't bite me, buddy. So those equate as witch wounds. So they come through today as maybe you don't feel good charging for your services. You're not raising your prices on your healing and intuitive gifts. You're not charging more. You're not calling people in because you don't want to be seen or heard because you have these witch wounds. Let's say it like that. So that is one of the big wounds that we have from the past. So those wounds can hold us back in our spiritual journey from developing our gifts, from really embracing our power, putting ourselves out there, charging for what we do, it's really on the nose because my nose is super itchy, really being really seen for how powerful we are and how much we really do, what we really bring to the world. So that is one really big witch wound. So if you have this weird resistance of, maybe you talk about what you do, but you don't talk about it to everybody. You still have a lot of fear of who you tell and what you do. And my nose ring always like comes out. So that is one witch wound. So another way to know if something you need to go into your past lives for is something that you've been working on. Let's say it's self-worth, continuous, the same type of relationships. Let's say it like that. So whether it be a friend relationship and you keep getting taken advantage of, whether it be a romantic, intimate relationship and you have a hard time trusting, you keep pulling in the same type of a person where they're kind of nice at first, and then as time goes on, they really don't treat you very well. They take advantage of you, treat you poorly, diminish your self-worth, but then you don't leave and you just continue in that relationship until whatever happens. Either you die, you know what I mean, at whatever age you're supposed to die and you're miserable, or they leave, you leave at some point, but then you'll continue to have a relationship pattern like that. Maybe there's things with your parents where there's lineage things, let's say it like that. So there's things in your lineage of, your mom was had been verbally abused. So she turns around and does that to you. Well, what are you doing to your kids? Have you shifted that pattern? Have you worked on it? Do you recognize it? Do you understand it? So I like to say, when you've been doing work on a certain topic of your life, or topics, very variety of topics, and what you are doing is not working, it's not working fully. You feel this resistance. Like if you're using your gifts and abilities, you have this, like I like to say, it's a solar plexus kind of resistance. Like you feel like 80% good about something, 90% good about something. I feel really good. I feel confident. But there's like this 10% that I can't get rid of. That's when I like to say it's time to go into your Akashic Records, because there's most likely past life things that are hindering you, holding you back. So there can be cords that you put on yourself, that somebody else put on you. It could just be simply, I had a session today where she didn't necessarily put something on herself. Nobody else necessarily put something on her. But the way that she was kind of persecuted for her abilities, she didn't want that to happen again in a lifetime. So she basically put some restriction on her own soul, so that she's not really seen and not really heard if she's doing her intuitive healing work. And then so we went through and cleared. The way I work and the way I created all my practices and methods is really to kind of start where the problems started, and then we figure out from there. So some of us have, like, I am like a creator of the Akashic Records, one of the creators. So I know that my soul is old, and that is something that Spirit brought to me right away in my spiritual. When I started the Akashic work, I was like, no. And they're like, yes. So it's not something I talk about often. And it's something that I talked about with a client last week, because she was a creator of kind of the intuitive and healer realm. So it's really something that I don't talk about very often. And I don't know why. Part of that is holding myself back, like the power in what I do and how I do it. So I've created methods that we bring clarity from your past lives. We clear the cords and things that are holding you back. And then we can reactivate your gifts and abilities as well. So in the session today, all the sessions that I've done recently, we've reactivated something. So in a gift, an ability, something that's within your soul that you could be using more or more powerfully today. So reactivating those gifts and abilities through your past lives. And that's just something that's kind of come in the last year. Sometimes just recognizing in your past lives allows you to bring things forward, things shift. Sometimes we need to have a ceremony. So the ceremonies have, like I said, have been a newer thing, but they're happening more and more frequently with people that I'm working with. So yeah, looking and touching at antique furniture. I love it. So also make sure, if you go and touch old things, go to antique stores, make sure you really have good protection too. So none of those people or things come home with you. Like my daughter got this doll. It was really old, like 1800s, but it was like pristine condition. It was like porcelain head, like velvet dress and stuff. But just make sure, if you're going into a place like that, that you also have really good protection and clearing. Like, no, you're not allowed to come home with me. So clear the object and yourself before you leave. And make sure you feel out the object too before you bring it home. So like mirrors, be very cautious with mirrors. They can harbor and hold on to a lot of things. I like to say too, like I've seen them be portals for good and bad. So really just be cautious with mirrors. Really ask your spirit team, if you're going to invest in something that is antique or old, even garage sale stuff, like really ask spirit, like, is this safe for me to bring home? Is anything going to come with it? Who is going to come with it? If they do they need to be attached to it? Can I release them? Like, ask spirit all of those questions, because they are really important. You don't want to bring home like a whole bunch of random energy and shit that you don't need. Like I found out my daughter goes and hangs out at the graveyard all the time. I'm like, are you clearing yourself before you come home? And she had the lying like smile on her face. So I'm like, you got to clear. Yeah, Native American. Yeah, absolutely. And whenever I go through South Dakota, so South Dakota is a state right next to me. They always kind of stand by the road. Native Americans will stand by the road as I'm traveling through South Dakota, and especially if I go to the falls, the rocks are super old. So they're always there very much. And I know, here in Iowa, we have reservations and stuff. But it's something with going through South Dakota is definitely a lot more powerful and strong for me with Native Americans and Native American spirits. Um, hey, Deborah. Yes. How do you know if you carried financial blocks? So the financial blocks are a hard one. That's one of the hard ones in your past lives because it does come through as witch wounds. It does come through as lack in lifetime. So poverty, so if you're finding yourself, and this can be something from this life as well, if you were taught you got to clear your plate, people are starving, you got to do this, like a lot of those little intricacies come through like as past life things as well. So you have to clear your plate because it's wasteful. You have to clear your plate because, so like my grandparents were in the Depression, so the World War II. So that those impressions, and growing up, and it was interesting. I heard one time from a psychic that a lot of people end up with dementia or Alzheimer's because they had such traumatic childhoods. I'm like, that's an interesting perspective. I haven't looked much into that, but so they only remember the things in their life that weren't necessarily destructive or harmful. So, and I did notice that with my grandma, who did pass of technically old age Alzheimer's, but she had dementia for probably a good 20 years, really bad dementia for 5 years, and then dementia for the 15 years kind of leading up to it. So so it is something I've noticed. So financial blocks, I'm going to say, I think they come up in layers is how I see them. So, we can clear like witch wounds, past life wounds, go to lifetimes of most significance and clear them and release them, clear them from your soul. And then, and it's also part of what are you doing today? So what are you doing to heal from it today? What are you doing to shift that mindset? Like, we can clear stuff from your past, but you also have to shift your mindset about money. Does it come to me easily? You know what I mean? Like I like to say that we can clear your soul and then you still need to do the work, the homework. So when I have my soul alchemy sessions, what we do is we clear what we need to clear this life and past lives. And then we create a plan for you going forward of what do you need to do to continue the growth, continue the healing, to stay in a good place with what you're doing. Because we can't just clear something and then expect like, oh, everything's perfect. Things will shift. But what are you doing differently to call in money, to manifest, to stay in a positive mindset? And if you guys are new to me or not new to me, you know that it is not about being perfect with your mindset. It is not about being perfect with your spiritual practice and connecting to spirit and doing those things. It is about every day just showing up for yourself, creating new habits, routines, mindset patterns for yourself that work, that feel good to you, and that are maintainable. So, anxiety. So where I was before I started working with Heather. So when I started working with Heather, I had crippling anxiety attacks, panic attacks, depression, and now I know I have ADHD. I didn't know that before. And for me, I just lived in this negative state. So Heather had suggested that I do Reiki for chronic pain, and that is, I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know what is going on with my video, but it keeps doing weird stuff. When I'm on Zoom calls, like today I had balloons going up. What else was happening? I had 2 different calls where all this stuff was happening. I can't explain it. So, so I started Reiki for chronic pain, Reiki attunement. So I started my Reiki attunements with Heather for chronic pain, and my intuitive gifts exploded, expanded. And what I really did was I started to heal. So meditation for me was what I used to really heal, to calm my mind. So you guys will hear me talk about mindfuckery a lot. The mindfuckery is what keeps you in this place of negativity. It keeps you in the, I can't have money. Money's too hard. Money never comes to me. I never can have a vacation. Like negativity is what keeps us in the dark, yucky place. Negativity is what keeps our, manifesting low. It's what keeps our energy low. So what I want you guys to do is just aim for 80% of your day. Be in a good place. Feel good about who you are, what you're doing. Really have a good place 80% of the day. And the other 20% can be a little bit of doubt, a little bit of fear, a little bit of fuck it, I don't care. But whatever habits and patterns and routines you guys are creating for yourself, you need to create them in a way that they are bringing you up and keeping you, I don't want to say you have to maintain a high vibrational state, but keeping you in a good space where you feel good most of the time. You feel somewhat happy. You feel productive. You feel like you can manifest, that you can ask God, Spirit, Universe for what you want, and that they will be there, that they're going to support you, that they're going to. But if you wake up every day and you feel negative and unhappy, then it's going to be very hard to maintain and accelerate whatever you're doing, growth, spiritual growth, money, whatever it is. So yes, we absolutely can clear money wounds in the past. And what I like to say is there's never just a one prong approach. So to me, if you're not working and clearing through your past lives, you're really missing half of what's available to you. What opportunities are there for you, your gifts, your abilities, what you're capable of doing. And I always kind of feel like you're missing piece of the puzzle if you're not doing past life work at the same time, because it can enhance what you're doing. It can bring more to your abilities. It can bring you more insight and information, bring you more clarity. So if you've had a life where you have a lot of dreams, a lot of crazy stuff that you maybe can't explain, I like to call what I call past life glimpses. So if you're touching those objects and you're having these flashes, those are little past life glimpses. So how I see them now is if somebody's talking to me and they say something about, I just don't know what else I need to do so and so. I'm like, oh, it's a past life issue. Or they're like, I don't know how I know this person. I'm like, oh, that's a past life. So like, I already know, a spirit already tells me before they even finish a sentence, like this has part to do with a past life or past lives. Sometimes we have a lot of past lives with different people. And sometimes our guides, so like my main guide is, somebody that I have a lot of lifetimes with. So we're either guides together or we're alive together. So this lifetime I'm alive and he's my guide. So there's just a lot that has happened in our past lives that we can bring forward and use. And there is some stuff that we need to clear and remove because we, like I said, we'll put curses, cords, bindings, ties on ourselves because we've hurt people, we've harmed people. And then at some point in that lifetime, you have some remorse. You're like, holy fuck, I never want to treat somebody like that again. I never, or, you kind of die being whatever, however you die. But if you were a horrible human being, you just kept that on your soul. So a lot of times what your soul will do is hold on to that, like, ooh, let's not do that again. But sometimes somebody else puts something on us in that lifetime. Jealousy, rage, you killed their wife, you killed their partner, their child, whatever. So then they will intentionally put something on you. So there is a whole bunch of ways that things can go with your soul through different lifetimes. So in a roundabout way. So money is a big one. Witch wounds is a big one. The relationship patterns is a big one that I see a lot in past lives. Self-worth. Sometimes witnessing how powerful and important you have been in lifetimes, and not as a money and stature thing, but using your intelligence, using your gifts and abilities. So when I teach the Akashic Records, my program, or through Accelerated Intuitive, what I have people do is witness lifetimes where you did good as a healer, where you were recognized, where you helped so many people, where you did good things, because your soul needs to recognize that too and witness it. What did you bring to people? How did you help people? What did you do for people? Because your soul takes that in, and it's like this really big boost of, oh my gosh, I remember that. I remember helping people. I remember why I'm doing what I'm doing. So witnessing that good stuff that you've done in your past as well is really important. Let's see, what else do we got in here? Ooh, antique furniture. Love it. Teresa, is it like passed down stuff, or is it like stuff that you've just gotten through different ways? Yeah, absolutely, Holly. There's like so many ways that we've been persecuted and punished, having our gifts and abilities, because people didn't understand it, because somebody brought, a child to you, and through no fault of your own, they were already too sick. You couldn't have helped them. But then you turn around and get punished or persecuted because they died. Like, there's just so many ways that we have been persecuted and punished for being healers, intuitives, light workers, seers, whatever we called ourselves back then, that, people died or perished for nothing that we actually did, but we got blamed, so there's just so much of that. So the punishment was death, stoning, rape, abuse, like murder, like torture. There's like a lot of ways. Very rarely do I witness us being, taken out in a like domicile way. Mindfuckery from the past self. Absolutely. The mindfuckery is a big one. And that's one big thing, like when I teach people, I have an Akashic Records program coming up, and the Akashic Records is also part of Accelerated Intuitive. So if anybody's ever interested in that, I'm not quite sure, maybe the end of November, early December, but might not be great timing. So I'm not quite sure. But the Akashic Records, so learn to work in your Akashic Records, clear through your Akashic Records, reactivate gifts and abilities to your Akashic Records. And then I'm trying to decide if I'll teach you how to do it for clients in that, or if that will be another program. I'm not quite sure. Hey, beautiful Brooke and Danielle, they're in Accelerated Intuitive. Oh my God, that's even another form of torture. Teresa, I would rather see the food in the trash than on your hips. That's a whole nother form of manipulation. Both passed down. Ooh. Awesome. I love that, Teresa. Because should live in the present instead of focusing on the past. It is total bullshit. Healing the soul. Yes. Yes. So some people might have that view on past lives of living today, live in the present. But okay, so is your trauma affecting you? That's your past life, because it's this lifetime, but it's in the past. So is that person being fucked up by their trauma? You know what I mean? Like, everybody gets to have their own view about it. For me, past life work, healing, clearing, clarity, understanding is super important. It helps you know who you are, where you're meant to be. What else could you be doing? What have you done with your gifts and abilities in the past? How have you helped people in the past? Were you a scholar? Did you write books? All of these correlations. Did you create herbs and tinctures and teas and smelly things that help people with maybe sensory issues? Back then, we didn't know what a sensory issue was, but maybe you created something smelly that helped people calm down back then. Maybe you created something, like Vicks Vapor Rub back then that, you can create through an herb or tincture mixture that you make. And you can bring and access that again today. So it's not about living in and dwelling in your past, romanticizing your past. And this might be a big one for people like twin flame type of things. I believe in that. I believe in that connection. But I do also not believe that just because you have that twin flame connection that you're supposed to be together. You might, have that twin flame connection with somebody, but you are not meant to be together in a relation. I don't get it. You guys witnessed those balloons, right? I don't know what's going on. This is not even Zoom, and it keeps happening to me. So I got nothing. So obviously the balloons, they're coming up a lot. I'm getting fireworks. I'm getting the thumbs up and the thumbs down. I don't know what's happening. But spirit is all up in my business with my videos. So, shit, now I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, so like living in the past. There's a difference between going to your past lives because you want to keep reliving them, because you want to zone out of today, and accessing your information from the past because you need it for today. There's a big, huge difference, so definitely don't work in your Akashic Records because you want to escape from your life today. You want to witness it. You want to feel it. You want to really witness a lifetime where you had love, where you had a romantic relationship, where you were loved and worshipped and taken care of. That's amazing. Feel it. Do it, because that is the type of relationship you deserve. But it's not about checking out of your lifetime today to have that. You know what I mean? It's really about recognizing and witnessing it and knowing in your soul that that is what you deserve today. That is what you deserve. That is the relationship you deserve. So we're going to clear what relationship shit you have and allow you to know. And part of that is self-worth, what you deserve to have, where you deserve what type of a relationship, whether it's friendship or romantic, that you deserve to have a relationship of respect and mutual, exchange and love and connection. and allowing yourself to have that, allowing that space for you. So, um, and let's see, like weight, hails to the yeah, Holly. Spirit agreement. Weight has always been a big issue. So, for me in my life, weight and money have been ones that I'm somebody that can really achieve and do whatever I want. Weight and money have been my hardest struggles, and they're definitely something that I still work on. So, I know that with weight, so I've gone through. So, weight, one of the things with weight that I've seen in past lives is the fact that a lot of times we did not have food. So, how I've seen this pattern go through is if you are a binger, so my weight problems, my eating issues started about 12 years old. I was a very active child, very active, like always outside, always on a bike, always running, always playing sports. So weight itself did not become an issue for me until I went to college, and I had to work 3 jobs and not exercise. So I went from exercising a lot. After my mom died, I did not exercise. I didn't play sports anymore, but I still went to the gym. But as of like the age of 18, when I started to go to college and I had to work 3 jobs, so I worked at school as a work study, then I worked after school, then I had a bar job. So obviously, and I started to drink. So I drank a lot and I ate, but I was not exercising. So the only reason I had kept weight off as a child was because I was moving my body. So my weight stuff started at 12. So I am more of a, I'm not a purger. I don't throw up, but I'm a more of a binger, not eating much. And then I eat a lot when I eat. So that pattern that I've seen in past lives is there was a lot of times in our past lives where food was not available. So when food was available, we would like binge because we were so hungry and starved, and then we would go these periods without eating. So there were some lifetimes in there where we might have some food and we would store a little bit depending if we had a family, if it was just us. So these are things that I've witnessed and like cleared in like past lives, found the chords and the patterns of them. So binging, lifetimes where we didn't have a lot of food. So you would eat a whole bunch because you were just so hungry, and then because you didn't know when food was going to be available again. So if it was like fresh food, like fruit, if it was like a fish, if it was like some type of a game animal that was dead or whatever, you would eat as much as you could at that time. And then so if it was heavy winters where food ran out, if it was a time where the crops were not plentiful, same thing, winter. So you had to learn to ration your food. So there's different places in lifetimes with food, different reasons. So there's some where food was so abundant that you didn't think about it. But then you just ate and ate and ate whatever you wanted. And a lot of times, if you had the stature, it kind of didn't matter how you looked because you had the stature. So you could eat and eat and eat what you wanted, but you were still liked. You still had money. You still had these things. So these things play out differently in our lifetimes, but weight is definitely a big one. So money for me has also been another one. Like I've always gotten by, had what I need, not had more. So those are ones that are in layers for me personally, because I'm still trying to understand where they're holding on. So when I clear something big, then I'm like, okay, so now what do I need to understand or do? So some things we can clear and be done with. Some things are really in layers as we're ready to process them, as we're ready to understand them. We're not always ready to heal from all of these things all at once. So if you've had a soul alchemy session with me, you'll know that I'll say it takes, the clearing from your soul is immediate. The integration time that your mind and body take, it takes time after the session for your mind and your body to catch up to your soul. Your soul is super advanced. Your soul is what spirit works with. Your soul is what holds all of your lifetime's information. So your soul can release that stuff right away. You'll feel this whoosh feeling of a release, but the mental part is where it comes in. And that's why I say we create a plan for you going forward. This is what you need to do. This is your homework. This is what you need to continue to work on, because you can't have one without the other. Like, we can't just clear an issue and me tell you you're golden. Like I would never do that because it's not true. It's not real. If you go to somebody and they do that, they're like, okay, you're cleared, you're fine. No, like there still needs to be something you need to do. Understanding, processing, like working with it. So know that, like, whatever work you have or sessions you have with people, like they should be giving you things you should be continuing to do, to continue your mindset shift, to continue your growth, to continue, like, if people are just clearing and being done with you, like that's a red flag to me. Like that's a red flag that I will tell you guys to um, pay attention to if somebody you want to work with. What do you get out of the session besides just a healing or a clearing? So anything that I do, like I don't do traditional Reiki sessions much anymore, but in my sessions, we do a lot of healing, clearing, and clarity. And that clarity is also, what do you need to do going forward? What steps do you personally need to take? So Spirit will say, every day you need to do this. And you guys know me, I do not like hard shit. So I always ask Spirit to make these things simple, something they can do every day. Maybe it's journaling, channeling, maybe it's just asking Spirit, maybe it's, revamping. Usually it's helping people revamp their clearing and protection so that they feel more solid mentally. Whatever it is, we create that plan for you when you have a soul alchemy session. Scarcity is a huge one. Scarcity in so many ways too, because scarcity with money, scarcity with relationships, with love, with connection. So there's a lot of lifetimes where, I'll say there was like villages, but there was a lot of distance between places. So if you didn't have a partner or a family, you might go a long time without seeing another human being. So you might have animals, you might be in this space all alone. So there's scarcity of food, of conversation, of intimacy, of relationships, so those things can follow and trickle through to lifetimes. So if you find yourself in this lifetime where you just prefer to be alone, maybe there was a lifetime that is holding on that. So I don't want to say everything that you have going on is a past life thing. It is 100% a possibility. You can come to me for a soul alchemy session. We can explore those things. We talk about it. So what we kind of do in soul alchemy is we kind of spend the first hour talking. Where are you at? What are you experiencing? What are you feeling? What do you hope to understand or clear or gain clarity on? And we go through that, and then the last half hour we really do the clearing of the past lives, clearing of this life, what is spirit, and then that's how. So they're an hour and a half or 2 hour sessions. So they're pretty deep sessions, and we can get a lot done in those sessions. And then scarcity about food and binging. Yeah. So definitely scarcity. There was just a lot of lifetimes in the past where there wasn't readily available food. And I think about myself today where I'm a super picky eater. I'm like, I would have been fucked back then if, if like scarcity would have been happening. So if I had the way that I eat today back then, like I would have definitely been fucked. Like there's no way I would have survived because, if you're just eating bread, that's probably what I would just eat. But, back then food was a scarcity. It was a thing. So if your family didn't have money, or if your crops didn't come, whatever it was, the scarcity is a big thing with food. So today that can ingrain in us, like, even though we don't, most of the time we have food readily available to us, you can still have that like weird feeling of I need to eat. And there's a lot that plays into it too. Your anxiety, like, are you eating the right foods? Are you fueling your body? Is it all carbs? Like a lot of that stuff, our food stuff, plays into that as well. And we all know that definitely mindless eating is a thing of boredom, is a thing of fulfillment. It is a thing of, if you don't have joy in your life or happiness, that was a thing for me. Even though I love my husband, love my kids, there wasn't a lot of joy or happiness in my life. So food would give me a couple of minutes of like this happiness feeling. So, I had to understand that, like, why is that coming in? So I've had gastric sleeve surgery. I still struggle with food and what's going in my body and the right times. And, leaving my corporate position where it was very mentally destructive, despite all of what I was doing, it was just coming in so hard and heavy that it was just making things difficult for me. So, understanding that too, like, what things are you going through in your life today that are exacerbating that? Like, for me, I really realized that I let them have control over me when there's no reason for that. So that was a lesson that I learned through that. Like, I can't make shitty food choices just because I'm having a bad day, or because I'm miserable or whatever it is. Even though I had already known that lesson, it hit really hard after I had gained some weight back at my corporate position that I'd left, because it was like, well, I'd come so far and I've done so much in my healing journey, and then I went back and I let them get to me. You know what I mean? So your healing and your growth journey is a lifelong process. It is never instant or immediate, but your past lives can play a huge part in it. Okay, let's see. Does anybody else have any questions? Curiosity? Your electronics are acting bizarre. My light always flashes. Every session, like I've had like a few sessions the last couple of days, my light, it's always at some pivotal moment, my light just goes whoosh, whoosh. It's kind of surprising it hasn't. Electronics are acting bizarre. Yes. And so just know, you guys, when you're going through your process, your healing journey, wherever you're at in that process, everything is kind of a layered approach. So wherever you're at, so for me, my anxiety, my panic, my depression, they're no longer in control of me. They're no longer in charge. They're not the drivers of the bus. They do still come in, but I know now that if my anxiety and panic kicks up, because I clear every day, I protect, if somebody books a session, if I go live or do something and my heart rate, my anxiety kicks up, it's not mine. So there has been so much growth and healing through my mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional self, that I know, like, okay, something's off, something's going on. What do I need to do? So I have a process. This is what I teach clients and students as well. Process that you can go through, start asking the questions. Where's it coming from? Why is this happening? And then you really can get to the bottom of what's going on. Why is this happening? What's going on? And that's where I also start going into past lives. Like, okay, so is this a this life issue, a past life issue, a combination? So spirit will be like, yeah, past life. Past life, this life combination. So then I can start exploring, okay, so what do we need to do or understand? Why is this coming up? Why is it happening at this time? We've worked through this, so why is it coming up now? So then if it's something that I've worked through in the past, like, okay, so what is it now? Why is it coming up now? So it's not because I haven't healed it or processed or cleared it. It's because it's just another layer of some of the deep stuff that's coming through. So don't take it as the work that you're doing isn't working. It's just we have to go deeper on different things, soul level things, and you just know that sometimes you still need to go into past and understand it more, get some more clarity, do some more clearing. So don't give up wherever you guys are at in your journey, and don't resign to like this, I'm just stuck with this forever. I'm stuck with weight. I'm stuck with being broke. I'm stuck with whatever, wherever you're at in that space, you're not stuck with it. It's really about, what do you want to do about it? Are you ready to heal from it? And you have to be the leader of the bus. Book a session with me, book a session with somebody that you feel comfortable with, help you get to the roots of what's going on, help you create a plan, help you understand what's really happening, what do you need to do about it, how are you going to get there, how can you move past, the weight and the money and all of those things that are like surface level that are there, but you don't really know what to do about them or how to overcome them. So I would love if you guys have any more questions, let me know. If you guys want to book a Soul Alchemy session, the link is below. You are welcome to do that. You're welcome to ask me any questions. I also have the insight form below. If you want an insight, I think I'm going to go live and do a couple of different insights. So I'll probably do another card pull before my time is over. Just resigned from your job. Ooh, awesome. It's awesome and scary when you resign, for sure. It was the best feeling ever, but then, there's still that adult feeling of, oh fuck. So I definitely understand that as well. But if you guys have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like I said, I have an Akashic program coming up. I don't know if it'll be end of November. Awesome. Even better if you're not scared. Akashic program coming up. So like I said, you will learn to access your Akashic records, heal, clear. So heal yourself through your past lives, clear through your past lives, reactivate your abilities through your past lives. Absolutely. That class is going to be coming up. I don't know. I don't know if December is the best time to have a class, but Spirit's like end of November. That's what they keep saying. Accelerated Intuitive, that is another program where you can learn to work in the Akashic Records as well. I might be shifting that because Spirit's kind of saying maybe people need to do Akashic Records first and then Accelerated Intuitive. But Accelerated Intuitive is just really a place to really expand your multidimensionality and really expand your gifts and abilities in really just big, expansive ways. So if you guys have questions on that, please don't hesitate to reach out. Soul Alchemy, if you wanted a session, that is in the pinned comment below. Otherwise, you're welcome to come back here if you have more questions. Absolutely, Joanne. I think later on in the week, I'm going to talk about like having expansion in like expanding kind of your spirit realm, kind of that multi-dimensional space that I was just talking about. I'm probably going to schedule that live for later in the week. But otherwise, I hope everybody has a good night.